yet another edition of the Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight, being brought to you this evening by Blue Shamrock Record Label up in Australia. And our buddy, the hardest working person in the music industry, he is the one, the only Mr. Stephen Brady. And a special thank you to him as he supplies our artists each and every weekend. Tonight, we are certainly not going to disappoint you. We've got a renowned songwriter, and she's just tearing up the music charts right now. And before we went live on the air, she's telling me that she's got a new album coming up right now, and we're gonna find out about the album. We're gonna find out about her musical career. We're gonna find out all kinds of really cool things about her. Her name is Kathy, and she's from Australia. And I keep on telling myself that one of my artists one of these days who I interview is going to give me a plane ticket to fly up to Australia. All right. So let's go live now and meet our special guests of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the one, the only, the lovely Miss Kathy is in the house. Good evening, my friend, and how are you this evening?
Oh, good evening. I'm just having a laugh and thinking, how do I tell my husband I've given a man from the US a ticket to come to our house?
Well, if we were in Vegas, right, we can use the Vegas theme, right? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So,
oh, we'd have to, wouldn't it? Oh, no. Wouldn't it be great, to get the ticket likewise from this end to go across to America? But, you are music dreams, aren't you? So exactly, you've got the dreams of traveling. So maybe one day, I don't know about me. I'm getting towards what they would say longer in the tooth, but yeah, definitely. I suppose I've been around a while, and I often have people say, "Where have you been all this time?" And I've just been slowly writing, and I've been doing well. I've had won quite a few awards. I've got one, I think, about 5 guitars in the last few years that my husband's not overly impressed with because we've got to put them somewhere. But I enjoy it, and I still enjoy it, and I don't think I could stop, even though I say a few years ago, or my last album, I said was going to be my last album, and mainly financially, and but no, here I am doing another one, and it's something that I can't stop. I've had, I think, 5 albums, and most of them I've got. I was just actually I did write myself out a list. I did have a first album was called Prodigal Child, but I haven't loaded it up anywhere. And then I had Ball and Chain, which I've sold out of, but that's on Reverb Nation. Tales from a Suburban Housewife, A Farmer's Lullaby, Living in Mediocreville. They're all on Spotify, on the digital outlets. And the new one will be called Sundowner Drive. So it's quite prolific, really, in a short time. And but I just love it all with different producers. And there's nothing because there's nothing wrong with any of them. It's just moving on to try a different approach, and a different sound. And so, yes, I'm a retired school teacher. So music's absolutely great for meeting people, and I have a lot of friends I think who are envious of what I do because my husband and I like going out to listening to live music and hearing other people, and it's great. Life's really good.
Well, it's so great. Thank you for sharing that with us. So let's start off our show talking about your songwriting. What got you into song? Well, actually, let's back up a little bit here. How did you get into the music industry, and why do you have such a passion for songwriting?
I learned guitar when I was at high school. My parents, they had guitar lessons there, and Mum and Dad thought, oh, well, we'll put her in that. And I think they bought my first guitar. It was a Yamaha, and I think it was a standard edition to schools. $11, no, $17, if I remember. But it was the best thing. And then I would disappear into my bedroom and play the songs to myself, and it's always a good healing type of activity to do as well. So I did that, and then my dad put me into a few talent quests, and they put me on a TV show which was a talent quest, and I did okay, and I know one of the judges said I'd be all right with a bag over my head.
Not very nice, but a local publican heard me and asked me to sing at the pub. Well, I was there for 20 years after that, singing there a couple of nights a week, teaching full time, and my dad was a bookie with racing, and so I worked there on the weekends. And so I didn't have time for songwriting back then. And I wasn't till I had children, I was home, I had some time on my hands, a lot, but I had time, I wasn't doing all the activities I was doing before. Plus, when I've been singing at the hotel, I tended
Miss
to sing.
Kathy, I hate to interrupt you,
Yeah,
but there's something wrong with your sound. Your sound is very muffled. If you want to maybe redo that or something,
I
yeah,
don't know how I can do
yeah,
that.
you
I don't.
sound. There you go. You sound a lot good right there. There you go.
I've moved closer, so maybe that will help as well.
Yeah, yeah, you sound a lot better now. Yeah, so
Okay,
you
I'll
can
put it on.
continue. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I'll try and remember to sit a bit closer. So when I was singing in the hotel, I would tend to sing the same songs over and over again because I didn't have time to learn any new ones. And so I started thinking about that, and I thought, well, if I write my own song, people can't say they've heard it before. So that got me started, and I started writing some of my own songs. And I was really surprised that they actually were so well received. And that was a big eye opener to me. Oh, they actually like my songs. So I kept going down that track and eventually recorded a couple, and I started entering some songwriting competitions and doing quite well. I've reached the top 10 in the Australian Songwriting Association every year when I've gone into it. And I was recognised for songwriting excellence about 2 years ago, which was a huge recognition. And I've won some decent song comps. So um, I enjoy that because it gives me some idea that I'm on the right track. I've had a couple of people record my songs, which is good. One of our big stars over here, Andrew Swift, who lives not far from me, and he recorded a song I did wrote called Ball and Chain, and his version is different to my version, but that's great because I don't mind people doing that as long as it's still my song. I don't care if they want to produce it, do it themselves and change a little bit of it. So I've been to a few songwriting retreats, getting together with other songwriters, and and what I write from. I've got some songs I write about family, and you've got to be really careful about that. But I've got a song there, A Man Like You, and that was about a boyfriend my daughter had that I wasn't too impressed with. And so you've got to be careful with your girlfriend's mother. She might write a song about you.
No, no.
So yeah, so this last album is different again, but I'll talk about that later. Is there anything? What else do you want to ask me about my songs or songwriting?
Well, it's kind of funny because not too long ago, we interviewed another songwriter. We're just going to say her name is Mrs. Tyndall. And she's what an amazing songwriter she is. And I learned a lot during that interview with her. And
Yep.
so one of the questions I want to ask you as a songwriter, how do you come up with your ideas, to produce these songs? Is it like experiences? Is it, what does your songwriting look like?
Okay, I know there are a lot of songwriters who have a routine. Um, they might get up in the morning, they do a set routine, and they write every day. I don't do that. I tend to write when I've something comes to me, usually in the middle of the shopping centre. I'll think of something and the phone comes out and I put the idea down. Quite often, I only get two verses done and I don't get any further. And I don't stress about that. I leave it and I let it sort of brew for a while. And a lot of my songs might take a couple of months or even a few months. And one of the songs, A Farmer's Lullaby, which was awarded Songwriting Excellence recognition, that actually took me about a year because I was stuck on the last verse. But I just waited till the right idea came. I didn't force it. And a lot of that comes from a wonderful man that lives in the US. You might have heard of Pat Patterson, who is the songwriting who teaches songwriting at Berkeley University. He comes out to Australia at least once a year because he's married to an Australian woman. He is the best at ideas and tools to help you write. And I've used a lot of his tools. And the Farmer's Lullaby, eventually, one of his prompts came to me, and his idea is you have 3 verses, a suggestion, and it could be about you, first verse, me, the second verse, and us, the third verse. Or it could be about the past, then the second verse will be the now, and then the third verse will be the future. And that was the one that got me finished with that song. And I thought, the future, I can go into future tense, and it worked so well. And so some songs will take me a while, and as I said, I'm not worried about that. I'll come back to it. And the other thing I do with songwriting is when I'm writing a song, I try and think of the audience. And so if I've just written a slow song, I'll try and write a fast song next. So that would be how I'd be presenting it on stage. I wouldn't do 6 slow songs or whatever. So I like to have a bag of songs that are a mixture of vibes or feels. So I'll try and write that way. And then I've got enough songs. So that's part of how I work with songwriting.
What are well, let me ask you this. What's the best advice you've ever gotten from somebody in the music industry?
Don't do it.
Gosh, I wasn't ready for that one.
Oh, geez. I don't know. I can't think of it on the spot. I'll come back to that because I've been given some good advice, and probably actually just to songwrite. I remember when I was very young, and I wrote a couple of not so good songs, but someone else thought they were okay and said, "Don't stop songwriting." But I did, and I look back now and think I should have had more faith in him and kept songwriting. But I put it aside for quite a while. So that was probably some good advice, and I think it is to just keep going and not, I look at Instagram sometimes and all these people are putting up great stuff that's happening, and sometimes it can be quite downheartening or disheartening, and so maybe it is to not compare yourself to anyone else, just to do, and I see a lot of people say that, and it's true, just do what you like, and who you do it for, I think do it for yourself, and it might make a connection with someone else along the way.
Awesome. Before we went live on the air, I had an opportunity to check you out, and you have such a renowned career. You have such a renowned career in the music industry. I mean, you've already said it early on in this interview. You've won several awards, and obviously you're amazing at what you do. My question to you is this, though: what is the secret formula that you've used to get you so much success and so much exposure in what you're doing right now? I mean, how did you get here?
That's interesting too. You've got some great questions. I think there's a lot of discussion goes on about the songwriting competitions, and a lot of people don't like entering them and thinking it's not. It often can be just whether a judge likes your music, not about they don't really have the songwriting ideas about what's good and what's bad, and you just have to accept that. But I think that helps me. As I said, I've done well in those, but hoping that your name comes up every year would be great to see, oh, yes, she's doing all right. I don't perform as much as I used to, and maybe that doesn't help at the moment as such. I'm not doing as much as I did before, but I think it's enjoying it, and it's also mixing with the right people. I know that sounds silly, but surrounding yourself with people who like music too. I think that helps. If you're in that crowd of people around you, that helps you discuss things and talk with them, and lift your music up as well. If you're definitely listening to other people's music will lift your music up. And I sort of aspire there's some great songwriters here in Australia that I aspire to be like. As a man called Michael Waugh. I don't know if you've heard of him. And I think he's one of our best songwriters. I mean, everyone talks about Paul Kelly, I know that, but Michael Waugh, definitely. I think, yeah, aspiring to be like some of these other writers. And for me, I'm also a big believer in editing songs. And so I will go back and have a look at it and redo it if I have to. And that makes your music better as well. And yeah, it's a hard question because, I don't see myself as at the top of country music, and I'm not going to worry about that now at my age.
Hmm.
But my goal would be that I can get more people to sing my songs. So that'd be great.
Oh, that's awesome. So here's another question for you. I mean, during your amazing career in the music industry, do you have any highlights of your amazing career? If so, what are some of those highlights that you can share with our audience this evening?
Oh, gee, actually, I had a really good highlight last year, and I did the songwriters in the round with well-respected Christian Mitzi, who's on the folk side, and Cully Brewer, who's a great female singer as well and guitarist. And the three of us, we all were able to play together. And Cully Brewer said, "Oh, do you mind if I play along with you?" And she was absolutely brilliant. Well, I had a smile on my face for the whole session. Enjoyed every single minute. I actually forgot a couple of words, but these guys were fantastic. That was a big highlight. Being awarded the Songwriting Excellence Award was unbelievable. And it was during COVID. They've always had it live, and you get up on the stage and you get to sing your song and all that sort of thing. But it was alive, and so we're just sitting at home on the lounge and was surprised when the name was read out. I wasn't expecting it. That's the highlight. I've had so many, and I look back. I don't know, it's highlights. When I was younger, as I said, my father was a bookmaker at the races, and I penciled. I did the clerking for him, and my brother-in-law's band was playing on the race course, and they had me singing between races, and I'd have to race off, sing a few songs, and then race back and keep going with the bookmaking with my father. And I've had some great memories like that as well. And then all the different clubs I've been along to. We go to a great one down on the peninsula. With a whole lot. It's an open mic, and that's been a highlight when I go down there. And all these different people doing different things. I did a radio show with a friend up till a couple of years ago on a Friday.
That was really, really good. And, well, my partner wasn't always impressed because you have to be careful what I'd say, and it was live.
Miss Kathy, it's your sound again.
Okay, right. Well, I think I knocked something. Is that better again? How's that?
No, it's still a little muffled.
Let me see if I can see what's try that. Is that?
No, you're still a little muffled there.
I'll move it forward again. Let's see how I go. Let's see if that's better at all. Does that help? Right. Let's see. I'll wake my daughter up. Hang on. She's
Again, as Miss Kathy is going to take care of that sound, you are live with the Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show with Kathy, and she's a renowned music writer up in Australia. Again, a special thank you.
Can you come down and help me with the sound, please?
You sound really good right there. You're good right there, Miss Kathy.
Was that all right? Was it?
Yep, you're good right there. We got you back. Again, special thank you to Blue Shamrock Music and Mr. Stephen Brady for supplying our artist this evening. She is an amazing songwriter from Australia. Again, her name is Kathy M. Thank you so much for watching, who are watching now and will watch a little bit later. Each and every Wednesday, 6:30 p.m., we are live on all of our social media platforms. So please tell your family and friends about us, and we love to have you join the show. So now let's continue our
Yes,
interview
I hope
with Miss Kathy. There you go, Miss Kathy. How you doing?
good. I hope the sound a bit better.
Oh, you sound
I hope,
amazing as always.
oh, you're so kind. I could have a morning phone call with you every morning.
I
Oh, it sounds
think we just
lovely.
saw your daughter.
Yes, I just saw her
Why
come
don't
in.
you bring her on? Why don't you bring her live on the show?
Oh,
Let's
she's
meet
just
her.
run off when. No, she's just run off when you said that.
Well, so much for that idea,
So,
huh?
yeah, well, she works at the triple O phone callers, which is equal to your 999, I think, or 911, and does a 12-hour shift with the fire section and people ringing up. So she's pretty tired, and so here I am dragging her out of bed. So because I'm
Ah,
not good with technology, but anyway. So God, I was thinking about something else before and it's gone again. I think another highlights for me too have been actually recording. I actually love to get into the recording studio and you go in with a little bit of an idea, seed of an idea, and then you come out at the end of the day with this complete song is absolutely amazing. So, I really, really enjoy every minute of that. And if I had a fortune, I'd be doing it all the time, but it's quite expensive to record, of course. So
that's awesome. Well, let me ask you this: during your songwriting career, I mean, who are some of the famous artists you've worked with?
Oh, I said, well, I mentioned, I don't know about famous, but they're well known here. And so, as the Christian Mitzi and the Kelly Brewer and Luke O'Shea, Kevin Bennett, I'm just trying to think of, of all of them. I've been up to what they call the DAG Songwriting Retreat, which is held twice a year in Nundle near Tamworth. And they do it 2 retreats and they get all these top people come in and mentor and sing and you take turns of singing and so I suppose I've worked with all of those people. You sort of put me on the spot. I don't ever think of myself as working with big names. Oh, there's been a lot, but it's just coming and going, and I can't name any. But of course, as I said, Andrew Swift won the Entertainer of the Year and the Golden Guitars, and he's just doing so well. And that he lives just down the road, and I've done a few, not a lot of shows, but a few shows, and he sings my songs, so it's good. Another guy, Clint Wilson, who's over here, we did a song together, and he sings a song I wrote called Jericho Rose, and he likes to sing that. And to me, that's probably the closest I get about with big names. And of course, those big names changing all the time. And so, what were big names that I sang with 10, 15 years ago have been someone else has come in and moved in, you know what I mean, and
Mhm.
taken over as big names. So I'm just trying to think. Oh, you put me on the spot with that, but nothing. Oh, they're
We
all
get paid to
people
do
of what
that,
I.
by the way.
Sorry. Oh, sorry, I've got a runny nose, a bit of a hay fever here in Melbourne. So it's a beautiful sunny day outside, and what time is it? About 9, nearly 10 a.m. And beautiful day. Actually, last night we had the Doonas on. The night before that, we had the fans and aircon on. Been crazy. So yeah, so
And we
actually, I
appreciate
think
the
your
weather report.
yeah, actually your picture's frozen at the moment, so I don't know whether um, but I can still hear you okay.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. I can hear you. I can see you fine, and you sound amazing.
oh,
Yep.
oh. Well, as you can see, I've got a hair lip and a cleft palate, and that has always been possibly it could have been gone against my favour with makes it hard performing, but I've been told it gives my voice a different sort of sound, and so many times I've had people, and my family like this. They sit there and they watch, and I have people who sort of make a judgment before I sing or whatever. And then they like to sit back and see all the people when I start to sing go, oh, and she can sing. So, and of course, I've had to watch my diction a lot with my recording, and it's got better over the years, luckily. And but luckily, it hasn't stopped me. It probably makes me want to prove myself even more.
That's awesome. So, of all your songs, do you have like a favorite song of all the songs that you've written? Is there like a favorite song of yours?
Yes, there is. My favourite song is off an album called Tales from a Suburban Housewife. And because I felt like they say your covers should reflect what the album's about. And although I sing country and country rock and country, probably more country blues, I had never lived in the bush and lived that lifestyle. So I've been more of a housewife. So the album's called Tales from a Suburban Housewife, but the song I like is the first one called A Break in the Clouds. And I really, really liked that. Pat Patterson loved it when he heard it, when he was over in Australia. And it took a while to write, and there's a lot of thought in that song, and it's about a relationship falling apart. I sort of was inspired by John Prine's song when he talks about the flies in the kitchen, they're buzzing, and she's just sitting there in his song, An Angel from Montgomery, and it's sort of the ideas. I like that song a lot, and so the idea came from that, and it's won a few awards, that particular song, and whenever I sing it, people absolutely love it. And it talks about, with my songwriting too, I like to, I feel like I need to, not instruct, but tell some of the young people about the past. And in that song, it talks about, and I remember when I was young, my father was a heavy smoker, and the curtains always smelled of the cigarette smoke. And in the song there it goes, the curtains smell of Craven A, which is a brand of cigarettes. So a lot of the young people have no idea what that is. And so it's something you can talk about. Talks about the long necks piling up at the shed. With the long necks are beer bottles, but the really long one with a long neck on them as such. And when we were young, our parents would put all the bottles out the back. They would pile them up against the shed, and the scouts would come around and collect them and get the money for them. But my kids have no idea. They've never seen anything like that. So I feel as a songwriter, I have an opportunity to throw in some of those things that were part of my life that aren't around anymore. So that's got a few things in it, that song, A Break in the Clouds. And, I think it's my best song.
How can our listeners get in contact with you, not only to listen to your music, but also to purchase it? How can they do that? So.
Well, they can probably. A lot of my music is on Spotify and iTunes and all that sort of, and those things. Ball and Chain is on Reverb Nation or on Facebook. But if people want to contact me on Facebook, at least if you give me a reason why you want to, not just one of these people who say, "I like the look of your face. I want to, I want to be friends with you," but if it's through the music and they write and say, "Look, hi Kathy, heard you talking to Russell, would like to hear more about it or purchase your music." I'm on Facebook as Kathy Dobson. I'm on Instagram. I think it's Cat Dob, CATDOB. I'm quite happy for all of that, for anyone to message me. I'm happy to post out music. That's probably the best way if you don't download it yourself. I'm happy to do the hard copies. And that's another thing too. I mean, with the new album coming out, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with hard copies or not, because I've got stacks and stacks of CDs in my library, in my study, and people aren't buying CDs anymore because they don't have CD players. But so if you want a hard copy, I have heaps. And if you mention Russell's name, I'll give you a good deal with it too.
Oh, there you go.
So,
it's the Russell K special.
Yeah. Exactly. If I know it's going all the way to America, that'd be great. And then, of course, you can hear some. Russell will play something tomorrow and on his today on his show. And yeah, please let me know. I mean, it's always great if someone lets you know they like your music or which songs they liked and have made a connection with them. And sometimes your music can be a bit sad. I remember I was doing a song called Jericho Rose about a little girl who's virtually abandoned, and I had a grandmother come up to me. I was doing a set at a local festival, and said, "Oh, that song's all about my granddaughters," and I felt so awful because it made that not. it wasn't a good, was a connection, but it was a sad connection. So,
Well, as we wind down our interview
yeah.
this evening, first and foremost, thank you so much for taking the time out to be in our show. You are such a joy. I've had so much fun hanging out with you and learning about you and your music and all that. And thank you for sharing your memories with us. I mean, it's just that's one of the things that we love about our show. You know, we meet some amazing people just like yourself. So I want to personally say thank you for your time this evening and thank you for sharing. So with that being said, do you have any final thoughts you want to share with us now as we wind down our show?
No, just I think it would be worth having a look out for this new album of mine. It's a concept album and 8 songs, and all the songs are sort of, there's people in the first song that are in other songs as well. They're all linked, so you really have to have a listen to all of the songs as a whole eventually when they're all out. So because it might be my last album, who knows? My husband says the last album part 2, who knows? But and the only other thing I'll say is I've enjoyed this too, and so when my husband gets out of bed, I'll be saying I've just had a lovely time with another man for the last hour.
Well, you know what? I'm in the United States, so it's gonna be hard for him to try and catch up with me.
Oh, he couldn't run that fast. I wouldn't worry.
Well, as we wind down, I want to talk about you now. I want to say the best for last, and that is what you just talked about, your brand new album. Let's talk about your brand new album. What are some of the highlights of that new album, and how did it come together for you?
Okay, it started with as I said, I think trying to work out how to get albums out. If you put an album out and you create an album, and so let's say 10 songs, you might release 5. I don't think the other 5 get any airplay. And you pay the same amount of money to get those produced as you did for the 5 that got released. And I sort of think, how do I get people to listen to all the songs? And I thought, well, if I had all the songs related in some way and hopefully create a desire to hear what the next song's about and how it relates to the first. And I was chatting to a young Angus girl, a friend of mine, and he liked the idea so much he wanted to have a go at writing with me. And I don't normally co-write. Anyway, we did 8 songs in 8 days. And I think because we were writing, we had an end point, we knew what we were doing, it made it easier to write. And so all the songs are about people who live in Sundowner Drive. And there's differences. And I mean, we could do it forever, but there's like a war veteran, a senior citizen who likes to drink. There's a murder in one of the songs. A gospel song I love at the end. That I've always wanted to do a gospel song. I had on my bucket list to write a song with a boy's name, and I ended up with, we both like the song, and it's called Aloysius Jeremiah Johnson Jones, but we'll say Aloysius for short. But it's been quite exciting to have all these. You've got to really listen because there's people in the first song, as I said, that are in other songs as well. And I don't know whether that's the right way to do it, but it's been really, really good. Angus has been, he produced it at home before he moved to Nashville a couple of weeks ago. But he also was not afraid to ask anybody to help out. So we've got the horn players from the Mavericks on one of the songs. Susie Ahern, who's done the backing vocals, she's the backing vocalist for John Farnham.
Julie French, who's moved over to the States. And all these, it's exciting. I've never done an album like that.
Miss Kathy, it's sorry to bother you, but your sound has acted up a little bit again.
Yeah, I might be related to my phone, maybe I'll move it. But yeah, so it's going to be exciting. I'm releasing the first song at the end of April called Sundowner Drive. And then we'll keep going, and I'll make sure you get a copy when the hard copy comes out. But yeah, it's very different from me, and I think it's a good way to have something different, to give people something different to listen to.
All right. Well, again, I think this will be a good stopping point for us. Again, thank you so much for your time tonight, and all the best as you continue your musical career. And thank you for being a part of the Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show. Again, being brought to you by my buddy, Mr. Stephen Brady with Blue Shamrock Music. And again, if you're watching now, if you'll be watching in the future, if you're an upcoming aspiring artist, make sure you check out Blue Shamrock Music. You can find him on the web. Reach out to Stephen Brady. He's an amazing person, and he has such a love and passion for songwriters, just like Miss Kathy and all the inspiring artists that he brings on our show each every week. So again, if you're that artist and you're looking for some exposure, definitely check out Blue Shamrock Music. Again, it's your friend Russell K with you each and every week, and it's a pleasure being with you here this evening. Until next Wednesday, we introduce another artist. Take care, have a wonderful week, and thank you so much for watching Music Dreams USA Radio Artist Spotlight Show. And with that being said, have a great evening, and we'll see you again next week on the Russell K and Blue Shamrock Music.
Thank you.